Gamebreaker TV.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to GuildCast, episode 42 for September 26, 2012. You're watching Gamebreaker TV, of course, and I'm Gary Gannon. Today on the show, authenticators are on the way! Woo! Shockingly, ArenaNet continue to patch their free-to-play game, and we've got some wise words from Mr. John Peters, all that and more, plus your viewer questions. But first, from Zam.com, Mr. Scott Hawks.
Hello.
Hello, mate. Have you left the butter out this week?
No, I didn't leave the...
I got tweets from people, from some fellow Brits, and they were like, in fact, I do leave out the butter.
I did too. I actually researched into my family and said, did you ever leave the butter out? Yeah. Like, really?
Thank you! Boom! Brit doesn't even know. He doesn't even know.
Oh, just wait. We weren't with a fancy butter stuff. We had margarine, that's why. It's better for you.
And joining us from Massively, it's Elizabeth Clare. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Excelente. How is Richie Procopio this week?
I am doing wonderfully, Mr. Gannon.
Wonderfully.
Yes.
Wonderfully. All right. Let's talk about some Guild Wars 2. Mike O'Brien. I want to say Mark O'Brien. Mike O'Brien. Isn't Mark O'Brien like a sportscaster or something? I think he is. I think he's a sportscaster. I don't know. Why do I even know that? I have no idea. Actually, you know what
American football stuff in it.
Seriously. You butter fool. All right. ArenaNet apparently wants us to practice safe gaming. We've been talking about the account security issues since basically launch, and I think we all agree that it was a bit odd that we did not have an authenticator upon launch. I think this kind of made a lot of people worry, and there has been some account hacking. Well, hopefully, you guys don't have to worry about this too much longer. Michael Bryan put this word out. He said, this is an area where we should act faster as a company, and we're going to. We had our own homegrown implementation of smartphone two-factor authenticator and testing of awesome, but we're going to pull it back and instead integrate Guild Wars 2 with a Google Authenticator, which already has robust authenticator implementations on most major smartphone platforms. We expect to roll this out in the next 2 weeks. All right, it's awesome news. Authentication system coming from our Google overlords. Does anyone know anything about this system, though? Because I do any of the other companies that we know of use it? Maybe we just don't know that it's Google. Like, I have no idea. Like, I don't even know what this is. I just usually, like, hit a button on my phone and, my iPhone 5, that is.
Ooh, fancy.
I don't always authenticate, but when I do.
Do you take panoramic shots, do you, of your...
I haven't done that yet. I just got it today. I don't know. I haven't done anything with it yet. I just got it. But no, seriously, does anybody know anything? Like, do any of the game companies use Google? Is this something that's like, do we know? I don't know. We probably should research, but we're terrible at that kind of thing. We just make stuff up.
That's what we're best at.
Yeah, the way that he made the announcement sounded like, oh, this is a thing that everybody knows about, right? I guess it's possible that somebody's using a powered by Google authenticator, but no, this is the first time I'm hearing about it as well.
I'm going to assume it's a better service than they had built in-house. Sounds like it. Sounds like they got something better.
Well, it's a ready one.
Yeah, that's, I think, the thing.
Yeah.
That's true.
We speculated, didn't we, before, why he wasn't there, and you just have to wonder, is it because it just wasn't ready for launch? And
I mean, it probably came down to crunch time, right? I mean, they were obviously working on something, but resources probably, I'm just assuming the resources had to get pushed in different directions. I mean, it did seem odd that they didn't do this right at launch.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess the other big question is now is are we going to see, do you guys anticipate that we'll see hardware or physical authenticators for people who may not have a smartphone? You don't think so?
Doesn't look like it.
I don't know.
No,
I don't anticipate it either. I would like one. I actually prefer that. There's been times your battery's all dead on that phone, and you're like, no. But I don't foresee them doing that. It's an extra layer of resources and commitment to putting that out there.
And I guess they probably have to commit a lot of dollars to just making and manufacturing or purchasing from another company and branding and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's companies that already make that stuff and they just have to brand them, but it's another cost dollar amount that they'd have to put in there, something like that. I think I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the research probably shows, but I think most people are on smartphones at this point and probably have some other alternatives with like texting and email and things like that.
Something when talking about getting an authenticator together, I always have it on the smartphone. So, bro, I know quite a few people on Twitter when I was saying that were like, bro, I don't want it on smartphone. I want the physical. I want the fob. I want to be able to plug it in. I want that. But it doesn't look like that's coming in. I mean, he talks about the robust smartphone apps, so I can't see it happening.
I mean, they could charge for it, right? I mean, they wouldn't give them away if they made them. I mean, even a small for people who wanted to pay for them, they could. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you guys leave a comment below and tell us like what? I don't know what the most market is. Like mostly everybody I know that have some sort of smartphone at some point now, which is going to be an app for. I don't know. I guess you could speculate that maybe the lack of subscription making ArenaNet possibly slightly cautious about offering bonus features like this.
Well, I mean, you kind of touched on it a little bit. They have to have some sort of research regarding this, right? They have to have some sort of numbers in place of what percentage of the population pool are they going to be able to cover with just the cell phone app, and then what percentage are not going to be covered by that. And they have to make a judgment call. Is it worth the extra upfront investment in order to cover those extra people or not? I mean, sure, they could eventually charge for those physical pieces. I think Blizzard charges something like $6 for it or something like that. So it could actually be a little bit of a revenue source for them, but there's that upfront cost that they have to concern themselves with for sure.
I'm watching chat room and I'm seeing people talk about the Google Authenticator, and I don't know this for confirmation, but they're saying that it's going to be both smartphone and some sort of, I think, text or something like that. So you could possibly do it on other phones as well, or email. It's probably got some sort of email authentication.
Yes.
You mean you don't have to? It doesn't have to be either smartphone or a physical authenticator. You don't have to have a smartphone to do it. Sorry, that's how I was sounding. But no, I mean, it's some people just want that, and the reason is people are just used to authenticators from other games and having them there at launch and being ready. And as I said, when you mentioned the idea of paying for a bonus feature, to me that's just a standard thing now for an MMO in the industry is an authenticator. That's something that MMOs have because it's necessary, and these first few weeks have proved that.
Yes.
Oh. It is coming. Mike also had a few things to say about security. They said that they've started blacklisting passwords that hackers have been actively scanning for. He said, we're building a blacklist of all the passwords that hackers are scanning for. It's already at 20 million passwords and growing, and we're preventing new customers from choosing any of those passwords. 20 million passwords. It's a pretty big list. He continued on by going, this system has substantially eliminated hackers' ability to steal new accounts, as all new accounts now cannot possibly match what the hackers have been scanning for. The rate of account hacking was about 1.5% for accounts created before this blacklist was in place, and is now about 0.1% for accounts created after. I mean, with the number of accounts, first of all, the 1.5% is pretty scary. That's a pretty high number. I mean, you consider.
Yeah, that's still a big number.
That's a big number. It's pretty scary, but 0.1% sounds a little bit more in line. He finished up here by saying, This all leads to the following request. All existing customers, this is where you guys got to pay attention. Pay attention right here. This is the big call to action right here. He says this leads to the following request. All existing customers, please change your password. When you change it, the system won't allow you to pick your previous password or any password that we've seen tested against any existing or non-existent account. Thus, after changing your password, you'll be confident that your new password is unique within Guild Wars 2. So, better break out that notepad. Come up with something crazy, because I don't think anybody's going to get anything even remotely normal. You're just going to be like 5261 F lowercase umlaut butter. But this is a pretty bold move, making everybody change their name. I mean, how well do you think they're doing about getting this request out to the player base? Does everybody really know that this is happening and they should be doing this?
I think that at one point they said that they were actually going to make it mandatory, like you couldn't log in until you change your password. So I feel like that's coming after most people have done it voluntarily. But so far it hasn't been very well spread. I mean, obviously they've put out the blog post and they've tweeted it and they've said many, many times, like, the only way to be secure is to have a secure password. But I don't know that it's been necessarily, like, received with an overwhelming response of believing.
People are just habitual in the way they use the internet. That they do things with habit, and people have a habit of using a password repeatedly, and that's why it's an issue. The reason that there's an exploit there for people to get into accounts is that over years of using the internet, people are using it in exactly the same way repeatedly, and it's going to be difficult to change that by asking people to, because people rarely do what you ask them to do. So hopefully the authenticator isn't too far along, so those people can be taken care of as well.
I just wonder if this is going to be a challenge for some players, you know? I mean, your new password can't be on a blacklist of 20 million passwords. And then, and then second, no one else in the game can be using it. So most people's passwords are just going to be a bunch of jumbled up numbers, upper lowercase symbols, and craziness, right?
That's a stupid way to do it. Like, that is a dumb way to make your password. Make it something that's easy for you to remember and long enough that no one else is going to easily guess it. You know, if it helps to actually say, I don't know what my password is, as your password, that is long enough that you're going to remember it, because every time you sit down, what's my password? I don't know what my password is.
Yeah, but what if that comes up on the 20 million password list?
Then you have a whole language of words to choose from.
I'm going to think
Don't make it something that you're going to forget. Make it something simple to remember.
German instead.
Seriously.
You could do I don't remember my password too.
There you go.
Interrobang, just all sorts of things.
Yeah.
There's so many possibilities.
Or A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is like...
That's the same combination of my luggage.
Just add the 2.
20 million.
All right, well, definitely go change your passwords. Come up with something unique, crazy. Definitely don't get caught and get hacked. So definitely go do that and change it. We're trying to get the word out and make sure everybody knows that they're supposed to be changing their password. 2 quick things. One thing, GuildCast, our Guild Wars 2 PvP and theory crafting show. Send in your vids. We need some more vids. Send them to submit@gamebreaker.tv. Make sure to post a video up on YouTube of your build. Send us the link, and also get us a link to your entire character build on guildhead.com, so we have that as well. But send those in. It's a submit@gamebreaker.tv. We need more submissions.
I'm working on my Guardian build.
Oh, you're still working
on it?
on it?
Working on my Guardian build.
You're massaging it?
I'm trying to... it needs a lot of work. I'm going for mainly power with a build with a condition removal.
Massage it well. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about some patch notes, crazy enough. But first, I just want to tell you guys quick about the deal we got going on with Netflix. Go over to netflix.com/GameBreakerTV, and you can sign up for a free 30-day trial today for their streaming service. Let's see what's on my list today. Madmen. This is my personal page just for me. Top 10 for Gary. Weeds. Why would we? I've never seen that. I don't. Nip Tuck. I don't really want to watch that one. Louis. I'll watch that. 30 Rock. Love 30 Rock. Madmen. So that's pretty damn close. Sons of Anarchy, I hear, is awesome. Have you guys watched this?
It is. Yes.
I hear this is great. This is another one that's sort of on my list. I really want to watch this. Check it out. Go over to netflix.com/Gamebreaker TV. Sign up for the free 30-day account. You will not be charged anything for 30 days to check out the service. If you like it, you keep it. I know you're going to love it. It's only $8 a month after that. If you don't like it, you cancel anytime before the 30 days are up, and you will not be charged. So what are you waiting for? Go check it out. Ooh, the sci-fi section. Ooh. Ooh.
And make sure that your Netflix password is secure.
Yes, and don't use the same password.
Serenity.
Yes, that's why I stopped there. That's why I stopped right there. Don't use the same password on your Netflix account that you're using on your Guild Wars account. There you go. All right, let's talk about some patch notes. First up, ArenaNet have removed the 1 copper reward for fully exploring a city map. I don't know about you guys. I thought 1 copper was already a bit low. Now you're getting zilch, nothing.
It's just not worth it now. I got a copper. I was so happy with that single copper.
I bet they were fielding a lot of support issues. Like, this must be a mistake. They only sent me 1 copper. There's got to be a bug. I bet there was a lot of complaints about that. So they were like, give them nothing.
It did kind of cheese you off, though. You're like, why not just give me nothing to be? I mean, copper's good for buying a slice of toast on the trading post. It's not even that anymore because
you could buy some butter.
Not anymore. Used to be.
Damn, butter's
now
that expensive?
Now you can buy like 1/8 of a butter.
Damn, butter's gone up.
Yeah, butter has
inflation.
Sirs.
I don't know. Does it make sense to get less of a reward for exploring cities without combat? I mean, it's 1 copper.
Yeah, it just feels like it's one of those where they're like, so how much are we giving? A copper. Should we give them some more? Well, we don't really give them money for just walking around. Well, why would we give them a copper then? I don't know. Well, let's get rid of it.
Yeah.
You know, it just why are we doing this? Forget it.
All right, nobody's gonna miss it. Nobody's gonna miss it. Basically,
yeah, no one cares. Yeah.
Here's another one. Enemies in the tutorial will no longer drop loot. Instead, 72 copper has been added to the reward for finishing. Were people really farming the tutorial for loot? Is that what was happening here?
Yes, they were.
Really? Are you
so
really?
silly.
They had a very high % chance of dropping the little loot bags that had crafting materials, the level 1 crafting materials. So there's nonstop spawning of those mobs, and they have a very high percentage to drop it. So people were doing that quite a bit. And,
couldn't get enough centaur hooves.
No, it's not. Yeah, it's not the hooves; it's the little baggies with the goodies in it. Yeah. So this change makes sense because I don't even have an eye for that type of thing, and I've created a couple characters, and while going through it, I was like, that actually they're dropping that quite frequently. Maybe I should stay here a little bit, and then I don't. But if that impetus came to my head, then I'm sure like tons of people were probably doing that. Yeah, for sure.
I see people debating. So they give you like 72 coppers. They give you 72 copper to pick. I guess give you enough coin to go pick up your chosen weapon when you're finished there. I've seen a lot of people debate, wondering why don't they just reward you with a weapon at some point in the tutorial, or is it just more get you probably used to the fact that the vendors are there and using them kind of thing?
I think part of it is to get people used to vendors, but again, they talked about why they wouldn't let you just pick your own weapon during character creation, and it's because some weapons are just a lot more difficult to start out with. Like the Necro staff used to have a condition skill on its first skill slot, and it was horrible to try and unlock that if you were super low level because you had no other skills, you had no utilities, and so you're just trying to condition things to death, which doesn't necessarily work really well at low levels. So they want to start people off in as much of a chance for success as possible. Whether or not people agree with that hand-holding, that's the choice they've made.
We've also been seeing some improvements to the blackline chests. So there's a chance to receive a permanent version of the Black Lion Trader Express. I know a lot of people are trying to hoping this one comes, right? Unlimited access to the auction house from anywhere in the world. Huge quality of life perk there. Did you get it, Liz?
Yes, I hadn't been opening any Black Lion chests, so I just kept storing them away. And then when I saw that there was an update, I was like, oh, I'll buy, a handful of keys or so. And then I really liked the rewards I was getting, so I bought another handful of keys, and poof.
I mean, they did seem a little bit like, I don't want to say worthless, but they did start feeling a bit worthless before the update, didn't they?
Well, yeah, I guess it depends. If you those tonics, are just those little cosmetic thing, and then you get some boosters. I was opening them for some boosters. I want to get, a experience boost or crafting boost or something like that. I would open them, but I actually kind of like that they weren't something that I really wanted to go buy a bunch of keys about. That it was just something that was cool to hold on to for whenever I got a rare key to actually drop. But definitely more interested now that we can get this permanent Black Lion Trader Express, and I'm totally jelly of Elizabeth over there.
I mean, that is really the item everybody wants now. I mean, it was like before this, it was like, oh great, I could turn into a snow leopard 3 times, and I've got no room in my bank, so I guess I better just destroy this.
I'm so glad they made those things stackable, so now rather than having like a separate tonic for each sort of animal, like it's just one mystery tonic, which is amazing because I had like an entire row. I was like, I might want to really turn into a crate during a celebration, like maybe for Halloween. I'm like, I really want to go as a crate. So I just held on to all of them, and now they're all just in one nice little stack. It's awesome.
What have you guys been thinking about the rewards for completing personal story stuff? A lot of people feel that they haven't been too hot. ArenaNet is on top of it, and they're making sure that everyone's going to be appropriately rewarded. But did you guys feel that they were definitely under par with everything else?
I've seen quite a few complaints about
They weren't exorbitant.
Yeah, they sort of got to the end, and it's a big journey, and people felt that they weren't being amply rewarded. So it's good that they're responding to that.
You guys speak up a little bit, brother. All right.
I'm sorry. My throat.
One thing that struck me as really odd is that for like the level 70 to 80-ish personal story, the clothing rewards you get, most of them are the same as the ones you get from like your 1 to 10 personal story, and that made no sense to me whatsoever. Like, just none. Like, hey, I'm super cool. I'm going to get the same velvet hose that I had 75 levels ago. But why?
I wore those hose already.
Seriously, those were so last season.
Also this week, Brandon has been talking about they've been having some trouble balancing dungeon token rewards and preventing extreme speed clearing. One really noteworthy change here is that dungeon tokens are now account bound. So if you guys out there, you should be probably thinking long term. You've got a decked out level 80 when you pretty much get an alt up there. So I guess you can throw your dungeon tokens at your alt and get some gear on it now, I guess. Right, Liz?
Yes, you can. I'm really excited about this because I really like having the option to go into any dungeon with any character that I've leveled. So I was really, before this, not looking forward to like, oh, I need to make sure that the only time I do Honor of the Waves is on my Mesmer because I really want that armor for her. And now that that's gone, and so I can be like, oh, I really feel like playing an Elementalist and doing Honor of the Waves. Like, that is super exciting for me.
I guess the one thing that people might, does anybody think that this could possibly give you just like, have less to do on your alt now? It's going to just be that much easier.
Well, not exactly. I mean, because you can actually, it can work the other way. You can get your main character to 80, right? And then as you're leveling up your alt, do all the dungeon runs, and it can actually, get you gear and tokens for your main character now. So it works both ways. I think I agree with Elizabeth. The flexibility of it is great, and I think it's an awesome change.
What do you guys think of the change? Leave a comment below and let us know what you think of the new change of the dungeon tokens. Do you like it? Do you hate it? What do you think? Leave a comment below. All right, everybody. This next segment is brought to you by Guildhead. guildhead.com. Go over to guildhead.com for all of your Guild Wars 2 database needs as it's wrapped in Worldcraft and Panda adverts. Go to guildhead.com. Check it out for all of your Guild Wars 2 database needs. Go check it out. Guildhead is awesome. All right. John Peters has stuff to say. And first up, he has this to say. He says, while we try to balance out server population, we have asked you to switch servers. We are aware that you're losing your guild upgrades and influence in the process. It is a barrier for doing this. So we are investigating if there is a way for us to mitigate this. Just wanted to let you know that we are aware of this and are not ignoring it. This is definitely a major, major issue that needs to be fixed. I mean, I don't think any guild out there is going to make this switch until these things are fixed. I am a poet and didn't even know it.
Especially the ones where it's going to make the most difference to the server population, which is, of course, the big guilds.
Right.
The ones that have got a lot of people in it who are going to be earning influence left, right, and centre and doing loads of upgrades. So they're going, right, we've got 500 people. Say, let's take Triple B. We've got 500 people. We've got influence falling out of our backsides, and we've got all of these things in our, our architecture's being built up and all the rest of it. We're not going anywhere. And of course, so that the guilds that you really want to maybe move, that are going to take a large section of the population over to a less bustling server, they're the last people who are going to actually do it. So this makes absolute sense to change it. And yeah, it's a real penalty to those guilds to move. So that has to be changed. Got to be.
Do you guys think that this is this possibly the reason why we haven't seen the guesting system yet? We heard a lot about it pre-launch, and now we haven't really heard anything. I'm wondering if this is definitely tied into it.
Yeah, so their message was that guesting would come out once server populations had settled. But I don't know how much longer that can really be the reason it's not out yet.
Rich, you have any speculation? What do you think?
Yeah, it was never clear whether guesting was kind of postponed due to it not being ready or due to it really, being what Elizabeth said, that they really want all the dust to settle. I probably think it's more the latter there. Yeah, we haven't heard about that. I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. The good news is, which we discovered, together this past weekend, is that you can actually group up and do dungeons cross server even without the guesting feature. So that's really kind of cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing when that guesting system comes out, so you can actually play on a different server.
Well, it's logical that it hasn't come in yet. If they're still dealing with some congestion on servers, right? We're making sure our servers are working okay. We've got a lot of people in there. Now let's turn on the ability for all the information for the different servers to be flying across each other. That'll go well. If you want to guarantee that the servers turn into like a pile of gibbering mess, flip guesting on right now. That's going to be
flip it on.
Yeah, that's.
Right.
I mean, they've got to get everything set up before they can do guesting.
Moving on here to a completely different subject. John said this. He said, I certainly agree that we need to improve effectiveness of condition damage builds against objects. We have some ideas, but none of them are simple and easy to implement / test. Rest assured, it is something we recognize as a problem. So good to hear. I'm not sure if the word objects was meant to be others.
Nope, it's meant to be objects.
It is.
Have you tried to cast confusion on a roadblock? Have you run condition thief and come up against a landslide that you need to move? It's bad. It's really bad.
Rough times. It's so bad. Right, so I'm totally missing something here. So he's literally talking about objects?
Yes.
So there are objects that you have to destroy for events and stuff. Say a catapult.
Sure.
Say you're a warrior with a condition build. Catapults don't bleed. They don't get weak. Vulnerability doesn't really matter to them. They don't get confused.
Blind
they don't
works
get any
a
of
treat.
that. Blind, you can't blind a catapult. It's really not fun. If you're a condition build and you're up against something that doesn't bleed and cast spells back at you, you are out of luck.
Roadblock,
so I'm really glad that
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they're fixing that.
So in the essence of realism, it's a pain in the butt.
What are they? Do we know? Is there any? Do any guys have any idea what they might do here? I mean, what are they going to do?
Make trebuchets easily confused. I don't.
Cast it on it. There's like little stars and like swirly things around it. It's like I'm confused.
Starts casting the wrong direction. I don't really know what they're going to do.
The arm starts moving a little bit. It's like I don't. Just acts a little drunk.
That way.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing that I was hearing, so this is specific about objects, then obviously. But what are you guys hearing about the issues that they're having with how conditions work in large group settings because like their limit on their stacks?
Mm-hmm.
So there's issues there. I mean, this is totally unrelated then.
Yes.
Yes, totally unrelated.
Totally unrelated.
Yeah. How do you confuse a brick?
I don't know. I thought I'm not running a condition build. I thought maybe he was just literally using the word object. I don't know as like another person, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's another thing is a lot of people talking about balance right now. I mean, I think we all expected balance issues. You know, so many different weapons builds, all that kind of thing. So what did John then started talking a little bit about this. He said Guild Wars 2 has some camera smoothing. Oh, this is about camera smoothing here. I have not seen this issue. I wonder if you guys have seen any of this. So he says, Guild Wars 2 has some camera smoothing built into it. It is generally more intrusive than it needs to be, but it also has a bug in it that makes it feel really bad for people with specific mouse look styles like mine. This bug and reducing the amount of smoothing is being actively looked at, but must be done carefully and tested carefully as its impact will affect every single player. Have you guys noticed this at all? Are you guys having trouble with that? Yes?
So what he's talking about mostly is that there's this like smooth in, smooth out. So when you're turning, there's an ease in and ease out to the way that the camera turns, which a lot of people dislike. It doesn't particularly bug me, but their camera isn't awesome anyway. And so like their camera is really not awesome sometimes. So when you add that with the bug for people with certain mouse looks and people who are like easily ticked off by the ease in and ease out, like it just doesn't make for a great experience, especially in high tension PvP type situations.
When you say it's not awesome, what are you referring to? I've got one thing that usually bugs me. It seems like when I'm doing WW, I can't get the camera low enough and high enough. Like I can't see things like at different angles and stuff like that. You can't see up on walls, and it's really kind of hard to position.
Yes, a lot of that. It's also really not helpful for most jumping puzzles at all. Like it does not make anything easier. So I hope that's something they're looking at.
Has it actually made it harder for you, Richie?
Yeah, I need to zoom out more. I really need to zoom out more. It's very claustrophobic, especially doing the jumping puzzles. You can't get back far enough to see where your next step is. It's kind of frustrating. You know, doing an event like a big boss like the Shatterer or something like that, there's no point in trying to even go in melee, and it's not because you're going to get one-shotted. I know people have problems with that, but it's because you can't see anything except a big purple blob on your whole screen. Like I want to zoom out and see the monster from up above, and I want to see how cool this scene is and see all the carnage and mayhem, and I can't. All I see is purple blur in my face, and it just drives me nuts.
You guys think they'll relax this and maybe make it some sort of like feature slider in the back end? Like some games actually have like a view to distance kind of thing where you can dial it in yourself.
That would be nice.
So
yeah, because the argument we used was because they wanted to be a character-centric game. Is the idea that if it's too far back, it's still a game. And you still, if the camera's getting in the way of you playing the game, that is in no way a positive thing. So I want to be able to look back from my character. I want to zoom in right up to his face so I can take a picture and it not have my head in it. And things like that, Do you
think the camera constraints have anything to do with not wanting to allow even more players on your screen at once in WW for frame rate issues?
That's a good question.
I mean, if that's the case, then they're not going to be changing it. But I hope that isn't the case, because that's a concern. But the problem is, then you have that's affecting the entire game then for that aspect, and I don't know. I really don't know, but if that's the case, then that is an issue, and I guess it wouldn't change because they need to keep it like that. If it was built with that in mind, but I hope not, because I want that camera. It's one of those quality of living things that I really like to have. And it's not just that, it does affect your play style. The jumping puzzles is one, WVW is another, SPVP is another. And you know what I mean? A lot of times you feel blind spotted at times just because of the camera moving, especially when you're moving through the SPVP when you've got some surroundings, which is a lot of the times. You'll suddenly be zooming straight in, and you won't be able to see anything really around you, and you'll get snuck up on because of the camera, and you can't adjust it quick enough and in the way you want it, and that's too clumsy. That needs to improve.
Yep.
Bridget, something to add?
I was going to say that some people in chat have been pointing out that there might be some sort of connection to them not wanting to allow you to zoom way out for SPVP specifically if they're going to to focus on sort of esports, because that depends on how these maps are designed. You don't want to be able to zoom way out and have a really good lay of the land. But if that's the case, then I would think that they could put some sort of restriction in place so that those options aren't in SPVP, but for people doing world versus world or PvE or dungeons or whatever, that they would be able to zoom the camera out further.
And that really doesn't.
Go ahead.
Doesn't affect the problem of the camera just handling badly in some situations. So those
and that's something I was going to say as well. Like when you're talking about esports and not handling properly and field of view, you bring up a really good point with the esports thing, saying like maybe they don't want to have it extend this view to kind of give an advantage or something like that. But at the same time, from an esports point of view, which we know that they're very focused on right now. There was just that it was a Guild Wars 2 live stream today on Twitch where I forget who it was, but one of the guys was PvPing and taking questions, and they were talking about how right now they are completely focused on really getting all the esports stuff in place. They know that the players want it, they know they need to get it there, and they're really focused on that. And the camera really needs to be perfect for something like this to work, because if the camera is not right for esports just across the board, the whole entire system is going to kind of fail. So it's going to be interesting what they see. Definitely needs some work, though. Obviously, tweaking. All right, so some viewer questions. And this week, first up from Jason Hall. Jason says, in the long term, how do you see dubs as an endgame? More specifically, do you see people making it into a more organized, guild-driven activity or a Zerg party? What do you think, Liz?
I think it's always going to have a Zergish element, just because I was talking before the show. I saw someone running a direction I was on Eternal Battlegrounds, and we didn't have Stone Mist Castle, and I saw someone headed towards it, so I just kind of followed him, and we put up a battering ram, and just kind of the two of us started ramming on the door ourselves. And then one person came by and joined us, and then within 15 minutes there was a veritable horde, because that's what you do in World versus World, is you see other people and you go with them. So you're never going to get away from the, oh, there are people there, I want to be with other people aspect of it, because that turns into really cool things where you've got two big masses going at it. But I do hope that we see people start to get more tactical and more organized about it, and less, oh, let's just run that way because everyone's running that way, because that can only provide entertaining gameplay for so long.
Yeah, you're going to see two. So you're going to see two different, like Elizabeth said, there are always going to be some Zergs. There's always going to be some large groups that just have people constantly running and tacking on, and that's great for people that are just a small team and want to tack on to a larger team and whatnot. But there are certainly a large number of people who are in organized World versus World groups who are on vent, who are doing it all at the same time, and they can definitely afford to be much more tactical. And you can see quite cool things happen when you actually have a very tactical group. You can have groups of just 10 people who take out people that are much larger than that just by knowing the terrain and going to choke points and doing all kinds of different surprise tactics. So I think you'll see both. And I do think that WVW is one of the aspects of Guild Wars 2 that provides endgame for sure.
Yes.
I think with WVW at the moment, having large-scale organisation is going to be difficult. But first off, you can't join as a large group. You can't. And with the popularity of WVW, although it's getting easy to get into Battlegrounds now, you can't guarantee the makeup of the people who are going to be in there, so you can't guarantee the size of the teams that you're going to be doing that with. But yes, there's certainly the ability to have small groups that can be really, really effective in WVW. And start instead of following the crowd, taking out those positions just under the past the enemy line, all that sort of stuff. That already goes on, and it's a lot of fun. But it's difficult to sort of see as endgame for endgame for small groups, definitely. But endgame's on a very large scale, unless it's for very WVW dominant servers who have got those big alliances and guaranteed to get a lot of people in at the same time who can be organised with each other. That's going to be a little tougher, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, it's endgame from level 1, really. So it's there.
One other quick thing to note, also from that live stream that went on today, he couldn't actually reveal anything, which is always a bummer when they can't say anything. But they did say that they were working on some really cool stuff for WW with additions to that. So I think that they're looking at maybe some sort of mechanics and things like that, and incentives to try and maybe make things a little more tactical and change some. Maybe there was really no information there except the fact that they're looking at it, and there will be additions to the way WW works in the near future. It sounded like, so keep that in mind as well. Next up, go ahead.
I would say we also got to remind that this is supposed to be the big fun fest, mainly for a lot of people. Is you get to go in there and run around and go crazy. It is to keep that element of just pick up and go and do stupid, crazy stuff with each other. It has to keep that as well, but it needs perhaps more ability to be tactical at times.
Next up, this one from Richie Khan. He says, it looks like a lot of players that came from other MMOs don't really understand how the end game of Guild Wars 2 works. What advice can you give to players new to Guild Wars on what to do once they reach max level? And I only feel it appropriate that I throw this to Richie first.
Oh, because his name is Richie. Gotcha. I was like, what? Okay.
His name is Richie, and all the fact that you have written about this extensively and talked about this extensively about just people, not having, trying to set up expectations and kind of thinking a little bit outside of the box and differently about the game.
Yep, absolutely. So I guess the way to tackle this is different people want different things. If you're one of those players who has already hit this game totally hardcore, poured a ton of hours into it, and are one of those people that say, "Oh, there's nothing left to do," well, then I don't know if this game holds long-term appeal for you, because there's tons of things to do. The end game can be different things for different people. End game can be crafting legendary weapons, right? End game can be, like we were talking just before, getting really strategic in a guild and doing world versus world. You can get into structured PvP, where the sky's the limit of your own skill base. Your progression of how skillful you are as a player is going to be what matters most. And as they start, getting into esports and running monthly tournaments and qualifiers and quarterly tournaments and all this kind of stuff, that's going to start to ramp up. And it could be that maybe you want to collect all the dungeon sets. I'm sure there's people out there that have many dungeon sets by this point if they've had a ton of time in this game. But you can try to get them all. You can be the achievement hounds and stuff. So there's lots of different things to do. But if the people are already 80, they've done a lot of the things in the game already, and they're totally bored of it, then maybe they really want a more traditional raiding system where they're going to log in and have a scheduled raid night 4 times a week, and get on their buddies and talk on Ben and strategize on these bosses. And that's just a different game. And we're not going to. It's not going to be the be all end all for every person, and that's just how it is. So deal with it.
Scott, you got any other tips or advice?
I think endgame. What people have to understand is endgame is the rest of the game as well. The game, the thing is about Guild Wars 2 that's different to most MMOs is the game doesn't change fundamentally. Most of the most of the games, you level from 1 to the max level, and then the game turns into something else. You experience the zones, and then you've got to go and get on the dungeon, heroic, raid treadmill, and that's not in a negative sense, but just in a very sort of clear lines and parameters in what your next step is. Guild Wars 2 isn't as like that. It's like, go explore some more stuff. And if that, to you, doesn't really grab you, like to me, I want to make a legendary. I want Twilight. I want that Twilight greatsword so bad that it makes me feel funny at times. And I'm going to have it. It will be mine. Oh, yes. But for you, if you're not into that, then okay. But there's lots of the game out there still to do. I'm sure at 80 you did not need to explore everything in the game to hit 80. You didn't. But if you think that exploring now is not what you want to do at 80, you might need to take a break now. And that's okay, because you're not having to pay a subscription. So.
Liz, any other additions to that?
They pretty much hit it. I mean, I think it's really important to remember that everything you were doing up till 80 is still viable. You don't have to be, oh, I've outgrown that. No more exploring for me. I'm 80. I mean, I'm at 60% world completion, and I've been 80 for a week. And I really want to get as much world completion as possible. Like, I want that for myself. So it's really about what you want to do with the game. If you don't want to do those things because you consider them grind because you don't think they're fun, then that's not something you should do. And you should either find a different part of the game to be your end game, or you should play something that you aren't going to think of as a grind.
Yeah.
All right, last up, this one from Trin Kwang Vu says, conventional MMO item color scheme goes gray, white, green, blue. Why is Guild Wars 2 messing with my head?
They don't like being like other MMOs.
I was going to say, every game has to be a special snowflake, right? I mean, that's just a given.
We're not EverQuest. I'll tell you that, because we're going to go green, and then we're going to go puce, and then we're going to go...
Mom.
Yeah, I think it's just a way that they just, most games want to differentiate themselves to some extent, and they just want to mix it up a little bit. I don't think there's anything... Anybody have any other reason there? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, if they kept it the same, then everyone would say they're copying.
WoW clone. They use the same progression system. WoW clone.
That's right.
WoW clone.
Richie Procopio, follow him on the Twitter at Richie Procopio, and go over to bogotter.com. I don't know where this accent came from, but I'm gonna go with it. RichieProcopio.com. You don't know RichieProcopio.com. Just go to Twitter at Richie Procopio and go to Bogotter.
YouTube.com/Bogotter. Let's do that.
YouTube.com/Bogotter and Twitter at Richie Procopio. Got it.
That's a very nice.
I don't know what part of the world you think you're from.
He's
Follow me at Elizabeth Claire.
Elizabeth Claire, follow her on the Twitter at Elizabeth Claire. And of course, go over to Massively and read all her great work over there. It is Elizabeth Claire with an X. Do not mix it up. And Scott Hawks, follow him on the Twitter at Jaramore. Go over to Zam.com. Check out all that stuff. He's got something to say, and I'm just going to cut him off. All right, see you next week.
Are you Phineas and Ferb? Is that it?
I like Phineas and Ferb.
You sound like the villain in Phineas and Ferb, and then suddenly you were in Switzerland, and then I don't know where you went after that.
Professor Doofenshmirtz.
I love
Or the Doctor.
Don't forget to send in your BuildCast videos. Send in your BuildCast videos to submit at Gamebreaker TV. And we got new shows. You guys got to check them out. Monty's Minute getting rave reviews. If you guys want some inside info about the video game industry, episode 2 is actually a bunch of info about how to break in. You will not find any of this info anywhere. And the comments are ridiculously fantastic. People love this show. Check it out, Monty's Minute. And also After Dark is our live call-in show that we do every single on Tuesday. Episode 2 should be out really soon. Coming. It's coming. Complete with drums and stereo. See you next week.